Kurushi, otherwise known as Intelligent Cube for the North American region, is a puzzle-style video game that was released for the PlayStation in 1997, and again would get subsequent releases in other regions, where the player takes control of a character, where you must run around a varying mix of platforms made up of cubes, and as cubes approach you have to mark each spot, and you have to wait for the cube to roll on top of it, and then you have to activate the marked spot for the cube to disappear, and you have to keep doing this until you can wipe all of the cubes or the moving cubes off of the stage. It's one of those unusual games that can seem a bit tricky to understand at first, but believe me, when you do get into this game, if you give it time, it can be very addictive, and it's clear to see why the game was well received by critics in magazines and so forth, and the game was a commercial success in Japan, and it even won an Excellence Award for Interactive Art in 1997 from the Japan Media Arts Festival. And the crazy thing about this game is that it's not anything beautiful to look at. It's very simplistic. It's literally just a row of cubes, and you just have to eliminate all of the cubes that are moving on the screen, and the intricacies and the difficulty of each wave that you have to fend off gradually increases in its difficulty as you play through the game, and you can use a variety of different combinations, both trying to take out singular cubes or trying to wipe out a number of different cubes all in one go. But you also do have to be mindful, as there's a different set of cubes that are available, with green cubes that once you've eliminated them, the spot that's next to them or the spot that you've eliminated them on, you can't eliminate any other cubes on that spot for the remainder of the wave. But then you also have to contend with black cubes, and you want to avoid trying to eliminate them, because if you do, it will remove a row of the ground floor cubes, which will make the difficulty of the level a lot more troublesome and challenging, to say the least. And that was one of the main things behind the game itself, and even from my own personal experience. Looking back, I played this game originally on a demo that came with the UK PlayStation magazine back in the summer of 1997, and I remember it specifically because there was also a demo of Parappa the Rapper, and there was also another demo of Rallycross that was on it as well, and Intelligent Cube or Kurushi was on it. And it was funny because I remember buying the demo because my brother wanted to play Parappa the Rapper because he was a big kind of music kind of game fan. He wouldn't really have been into games as such, but the games that he did play would have been more along that style. Like, I have four brothers, but four of us were all mad into video games, but one of them really wasn't, and if he did play games, he wouldn't have played the more action focused games that we would have played. The likes of Parappa the Rapper would have been more of his thing. So we had a lot of fun with that demo, and I wanted to play the Rallycross demo. That was my cup of tea, if you will, because I just love racing games and rally games, and I have to say I enjoyed that demo. But the hidden gem on the demo really was the Intelligent Cube or Kurushi. And the crazy thing about it, and that was the one thing that I can relate to, because even looking at reviews and even what critics have said in magazines, they all had the same issue with the game at the start, because to look at the game originally, it doesn't look like anything special. It just looks like something that's quickly thrown together, like as if it was just a pre-phase alpha build of an early game concept. That's what it looks like, and that's the final version of the game. But when you look beyond its simplicity of its graphics and the way that it plays, it's very intricate in how it does utilize its elements. And it's funny because even from reading older reviews of the game, the one thing that was apparent, people did not like it visually at first. Once they got into it, when they started playing it, they were like, oh, this game doesn't look great. And I'll be honest, when I seen it myself, I was like, oh, this game is nothing special compared to anything else I'd seen. But again, I sat down with it and I played it, and then one game turned into two games once I figured out what to do, which it can be quite frustrating when you're not sure of what to do, because it isn't the most apparent of how to set everything up. And the really good thing about this game is that it has a really good balance between achievement and frustration, as it will test you on both ends of the spectrum. But I found myself, and like with a lot of other guys that have mentioned in magazines, that once you played one game, it quickly dragged on to two games, to three games. You could spend yourself playing hours playing the game. It gets so addictive. That's the crazy thing about it, and you can clearly see why the game was so well represented and was critically acclaimed, both in magazines and with articles and even with reviews. And it just increased its popularity that there was reiterated versions of the game and even sequels that were added later on, not just on the PlayStation but on later consoles and so forth. And even to a point that the game was also included of the lineup of catalogue games that would have been released alongside of the PlayStation Classic miniature console that was released in 2018, as it provides a good mix mix of puzzle solving and tactical style elements. And while people often hate on the PlayStation Classic, and probably for good reasons in some respects because it lacked in a lot of areas, but the selection of games that were there, even though it was criticised, but there was some games on it that were deserving of being on the platform, and Intelligent Cube is one of them, because even though you do have a good mix of action, RPG, fighting, racing and many other elements, Intelligent Cube or Kurushi fits in nicely with that because it appeals to a variety of different style of players. Even players that genuinely wouldn't play tactical puzzle solving games would enjoy this. That's the crazy thing about it. It just appealed to so many different people, and it just is a good game for as simple and all as it looks. That's the crazy thing about it. It's one of those games, I kid you not, that they say never judge a book by its cover, which is so true, and looks can be deceiving because this game doesn't look like anything special, but it offers so much in terms of its playability and its addictive characteristics. It is just a really good solid title. Although it's not the most refined or finesse title, it does have its flaws and it does have certain glitches, but if you can overcome those little hurdles, you will have a good solid addictive experience with this game. Let's just put it that way. I found that myself out personally, even though the demo itself back in the day wouldn't have been overly long, but I found myself playing it for quite a while and finding myself always wanting to go back and playing and trying to get as far as I could in the demo. I know that you had access to a couple of different waves, and it just, you kept playing it and playing it and playing it. I probably played that as much as I played the other games, which I'll be honest, which is crazy because I never had intended to play that as much because I was originally wanting to play the likes of Rallycross, but then I found myself playing Kurushi just as much as pretty much any of them. And even back in the day, puzzle games were never really my thing, but I found a newfound respect from playing this game, as not all puzzle games are bad. Some of them are really, really good. You just have to sit down with it and give it time, and if you do, this is one of those games that proves without a doubt that you will have a worthwhile experience if you do just give it time. Like, even with it being raved about in magazines, I do remember quite well going into game stores when you'd be going in wanting to buy new games, and there was always copies of the game on the store shelves, so clearly it was selling well and it always was appealing to a lot of different players. It obviously is a very popular game, and for good reason, and it's why the game was also included on the PlayStation Classic, because again, it is popular and it's just as playable today as it's ever been. Even going back to play it now with recording this video, I found myself getting addicted to it all over again. It was tricky to get used to at first, but once I found how to control it, I found myself playing it for well over nearly 2 hours. I was only meant to play it for a couple of minutes just to record the video, and I ended up playing it for way longer than I should have done. But that's the addictive nature of this game. That's what it does to you. It just is a really good, solid, fun experience if you give it time, and I highly recommend you check out Kurushi or Intelligent Cube, as you will enjoy it, especially if you do enjoy puzzle solving games. And again, I would love to know your thoughts on this game if you have played it yourself, and if so, what are your stories and what are your memories of this unique type of game? Be sure to share it down in the comments below, and if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be updated with future videos. And if you would like to see more content on the channel around other types of puzzle type games similar to Intelligent Cube, then check out this playlist here on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.